Right. There's 4 students recording. Right. So this is just a tutorial, but if you don't do your work, you will fail. You will definitely fail. And for those students who always submit late, they always tend to fail. All right. So this is my last warning. You must submit and you must do exactly what I say. Right. So when I ask you to submit with reasons, you must give me your reasons. Otherwise, you won't learn. Right. This is just a tutorial. It's okay if you got it wrong. Right. This is just practice. So at least I know where your weaknesses are. You get my point? All right. So I've seen some of your answers, especially the most important one is tutorial 2.1, the last question. I just want to see how you express yourself. To find the to explain the difference between integrity and no, independence and objectivity. All right. So at the end of the day, how you write is also very important, right? I just want to see your level of English. And from what I can see from the answers that you've submitted, you still have a lot of room to improve. All right. Right. So the first question here, what does it really mean to have integrity? Right. Integrity. So you look at uh, the 4 reasons here, right? The 4 facts here. Right. It basically means you must have moral and ethical principles, right? There must be moral and ethical principles, right? And it means soundness of moral character, and you must have honesty, right? Honesty is one of the elements, right? Soundness, that means you have, soundness, you know what it means, right? That means you definitely have it, right? Soundness of moral character. So A, B, and C, right? It means the state of being whole, right? That means, well, I'm not really sure as you whether you understand what is meant by whole here. That means your character is intact. You're not being compromised. Whole, right? So the other synonym is entire or undiminished. That means you are intact. You are not being compromised, right? It also means a sound, unimpaired, or perfect condition. Same thing. C and D means the same thing, right? So E here, right? E here, it means sometimes doing the right thing. So sometimes, it cannot be sometimes. It means always doing the right thing. So if this word is always, then the answer is E, all of the above. But because E is wrong, right? E is wrong. So the answer is D, right? The answer is D, big D. Any question? Thank you, Tan Hui. Right, question 2. What does it really mean to have competence? Right, competence, that means you're able to do a job properly, right? Competence, right? Doing things properly, right? It means A, you have the requisite skill. You have the necessary skill or ability in a specific field. It definitely means that, right? So B is nonsense, right? B is nonsense, compete. Competence, compete, I mean, this is nonsense. B is nonsense. In fact, some students got it wrong. So it means being able to do something well sometimes. It cannot be sometimes, all the time, right? It means, and you shouldn't have a limited range of skill or ability, right? So It also means E. A and E, right? Quality or condition of being legally qualified or fit to perform an act. So it's A and E, right? The answer is C. Any question? Thank you, Hui Zhen. Number 3, right? What is meant by acting in an ethical manner? Right, ethical manner. Right, so here is the wrong word here, inconsistent. Right, so if the word here is consistent, then A is correct, but here is inconsistent. It shouldn't be inconsistent. B, it means demonstrating respect for key moral principles. Yeah, definitely B, right? B is correct. C, respect for key moral principles, dignity, diversity, individual rights. Definitely, yeah. B and C is correct. Now D, it means engaging in normal behavior. Right. So what is normal behavior? Right. What is normal behavior for someone may not be normal behavior for somebody else. Right. So here normal behavior is very ambiguous. Normal doesn't mean ethical. Right. Normal doesn't mean ethical. All right. E, it refers to society's sense of the right way of living our daily lives. So right way, yeah, correct. Definitely right way is ethical, is correct. So B, C, and E, right? B, C, and E. So the answer is B. All right, any question? Right, if no question, I presume you understand what I'm saying. Thank you, Xiao Yu. Remember to do your work. Remember to submit all tutorials and remember to do it honestly. Question 4, right? What does acting with reasonable care, skill and care really mean? Right? Reasonable skill and care. Right? So basically, right, A, right? It is a contractual obligation to carry out works in accordance with the terms of the contract. Yeah, it fits. Right? Because if you're asked to do certain things, you follow the contract, right? According to the terms of the contract. Yeah, definitely A is correct. B, it is an implied duty to exercise the level of skill and care expected of another reasonably competent member of the profession. Yeah, definitely. Right? Competent. You must be competent. Okay? Similar to another competent person. B is correct. It is the legal responsibility of a person or organization to avoid behaviors or omissions that could reasonably be foreseen to cause harm to others. Right. So you try to avoid all the negatives. Yeah, definitely. It is acting with reasonable care. So C is correct. D, it is the degree of caution and concern an ordinarily prudent and rational person would use in some similar circumstances. So you see the words caution, concern, prudent, rational, right? Yeah, this is, in line with acting with reasonable skill and care. So D is correct. E, it is a standard used to determine a legal duty, right? You see the word legal duty, right? is actually very similar to A, all right? And whether such duty was fulfilled. Yeah, definitely. E is correct. So the answer is big E, all of the above. Any question? Right, thank you, Hui. Question 5. What is meant by professional image? Image, right? Right, so A, right, it is the image that one projects about themselves based on appearance and reputations. Right, so here the word appearance doesn't mean physical appearance only, right? It also means reputational appearance, all right? Obviously, physical appearance is also important, I mean, the right dress code, all right, the right kind of behavior, that is also physically visible, right? Right, and your reputation, what you do, right? So these two goes together. Appearance and reputation actually goes together. So A is correct. B, it can be conveyed by the way that you dress, right? The way you speak, the way you respond to others, and the way that others speak about you. Right. So actually, B is actually very similar to A. Right. A and B are quite similar. C, it should always be about keeping your knowledge up to date. Right. So it's about being competent and current. And you should always be performing to the absolute best of your ability. Right. Performing to the absolute best of your ability. That means competence. Right. I said professionalism is also about competence. So C is correct. D is about being willing to go the extra mile to make your clients happy, right? So D is also about diligence. You're really working hard to satisfy your clients. So D is correct. Right, let's look at E. It is a standard used to determine how a professional should look like on the surface only, right? Should look like on the surface only. Well, it's only on the surface. So actually it's very superficial, right? So it's more than, superficial, being superficial. So E is wrong. You know, E is not correct. So the answer is A, B, C, and D. So the answer is big D, right? Big D. All right. Any question? Right. Thank you, Jasin and Huishen. Question 6. Right. What is meant by a code of ethics? Right. Code of ethics. Right. Code of ethics. Right. So basically, A is correct. It is a guide of principles. Right. It's a guide of principles, actually, designed to help professionals conduct business honestly and with integrity. Right. A is definitely correct. B is a set of principles of conduct, right, within an organization that guides decision making and behavior, right, guides your decision making and behavior. Correct. Right. So doing the right thing. C is a set of guidelines for making ethical choices, right? Guidelines for making ethical choices. Actually, it's very similar to B in the conduct of working relationships. Okay. So it's about being a professional, right? Professionalism, working relationships. So D, its purpose is to enhance professional integrity, right? Enhance professional integrity, right? Which is a cornerstone of many employees' credibility. So we are talking about reputation again, right? It's about uh, maintaining your reputation. So D is correct. E is a declaration of an organization's principles and standards of practice. Definitely, right? Principles, so the code of ethics and standards of practice. So E is correct. So the answer is E, big E, all of the above. All right. Again, the same question. What is meant by code of ethics? All right. Code of ethics is a particular kind of policy statement, right? So particular kind, particular kind. Yeah, is quite specific, addressing certain issues about behavior. So particular kind. Yeah, it's a policy, right? So correct. A is correct. It is B, right? Is a form of legislation within the company binding on its employees with no specific sanctions for violation of the code. Right. So now, legislation. Now, code of ethics are not really legislation, right? Legislation refers to law. So this is wrong again, right? Okay. This is not this is wrong, right? Legislation. And the other thing, right, with no specific sanctions. So if there's no specific sanctions for violation, it is not a code, right? So B is wrong. All right. So C, it is a social responsibility movement embraced by some large corporations. Yeah, definitely. It is like social responsibility, because it's about the behavior of everybody in the organization towards all the stakeholders, right? So definitely C is correct. D, its purpose is to pander to rising public interest in consumerism and the environment. Yes, definitely, right? Consumerism, is about the consumers, uh, demanding being treated right, being treated the right way, right? So that's why you must have your everybody in the organization must behave in an ethical manner, right? So consumerism, the environment, well, everybody, right? All the stakeholders. So D is correct. E, it should always include elements that go beyond strict legality. Definitely. I mean, if you just talk about strict legality, right? That means only if the law wants you to do it, then that individual would have no sense of ethics, right? So that means, actually, you know what I'm saying, right? Everybody should have a sense of what is right and wrong. And if you are only guided by, say, or if you're only afraid of punishment, right? Strict, afraid of the law, then you don't have a sense of ethics. So what we are trying to say here is that code of ethics, I mean, you should know what is the right behavior, right? And you shouldn't just, be fearful of the law, and that's why you behave correctly. All right. So that's why it should go beyond strict legality, right? And they demand a higher standard, definitely, of behavior, right? So E is correct. So the answer is A, C, D, and E, right? So the answer is D. All right. Any question? Right. So thank you, Hui. Right. So what does the standards of professional conduct covers? Right. So definitely it covers duties to clients, employers. Right. Covers conflict of interest and your responsibility, and covers investment analysis and recommendations. So if you read the standards properly, and it covers E, A, B, C, and E. It doesn't cover public interest in consumer behavior, right? So, right. So D is not. It shouldn't be here. So the answer is A. All right. Some students got this wrong. Some of you got this wrong. Number 9. The code of ethics maintain that you must always place the integrity of the profession and interest of clients above your own interest. Definitely. All right. I've already talked about this. Always act according to what your employer dictates, no matter what. This is nonsense, right? No matter what. Right? Dictates. Your employer is not supposed to be a dictator. Wrong. So B is wrong. C, always act with integrity, competence, and respect. Yeah, these 3 big words. Definitely. C is correct. Always act according to what your clients demand, no matter what. No matter what. Demand. Nonsense. Nonsense, right? To what your clients demand. Yeah, you act according to the contract. Not everything, right? So D is wrong. So E, always maintain and develop your professional competence, right? Maintain and develop professional competence. Yeah, definitely. All right. So A, C, and E. A, C, and E. So the answer is A. All right. Any question? Thank you, Hui. Number 10. What is the main aim of 1A? The main aim, right? So you look at A, have knowledge of law so that you're able to give legal advice. This is nonsense, right? You're not supposed to give legal advice. You're not supposed to be a lawyer, right? B, have a minimum level of guidelines as to how you should conduct yourself in all business situations and is intended to be broad in scope. Remember in my lecture, I said this is a minimum level of guideline and is intended to be broad in scope. Knowledge of the law, right? Okay, professionalism, right? So basically, this is about knowledge of the law. So B is correct. B. So B, that means the answer is B. All right. Right. So it's not about C. It's not about D. It's not about E. Okay. Any question? Right. So Chao Yu asked me why not D. Right. Right. The answer is it shouldn't be specific in scope. Right. It's supposed to be broad in scope. Remember, I say broad, not specific. Is that clear, Xiao Yi? The first part of the first part is okay. Have a minimum level of conduct, but then it's not actually about conduct again, right? A level of guidelines as to how you should conduct yourself. Yeah, about the same, right? So the first part is about the same as B, yeah, but the key. So it's not supposed to be broad in scope. It's not supposed to be specific in scope, right? It's supposed to be broad in scope. Shall you? Do you understand me? Right. Okay. Good. Thank you. Right. So tutorial 1.2. In accordance with standard 1A, investment professionals are expected to. Right. So A is correct, right? Adequate understanding of the adequate understanding, right, of relevant laws, regulations in all countries, right? So A is correct. Right. Remember, I talk about B, right? Not to abide by the code and standards as long as the actions are legal, right? No, definitely not. You still must abide by the code and standards. Legal or illegal, you must abide by the code and standards. All right. So D is wrong. C, have detailed knowledge. Wrong. You're supposed to have adequate understanding. Right? Adequate understanding, not detailed knowledge. D, demonstrate compliance with the laws and regulations. Compliance, yeah, definitely you must comply. You must demonstrate compliance, definitely.